Today on The Young and the Restless, Victor warns Adam, Billy vows to stop Tucker and Ashley's plans, and Cameron kills. At Society, Adam tells Victor these check-ins are unnecessary. He's just asked what his father wants to discuss when Billy and Jack walk up. Jack crows that everything's coming up roses for him both personally and professionally, and Victor tells him he's been sniffing his own perfume too much. He's delirious. Victor complains about him putting Billy Boy in charge and being engaged to Diane Jenkins. Jack informs his nemesis he can't destroy his mood this morning. At the athletic club, Audra asks Nate to join her to have a strategy session, but Victoria appears behind him as he's stammering. Victoria remembers leaving documents in the Newman suite upstairs, so Nate offers to accompany her. Audra rolls her eyes as they leave. Tucker appears and needles her about not being high enough in the rankings to get in on the one-on-one meetings. At Sharon's place, she and Faith talk about the cat, Boardman. Faith wonders where he is since he wasn't upstairs. Sharon's phone dings and she nervously looks. It's just a sale at Fenmore's, nothing about Cameron. Faith hopes he left. Sharon warns they need to stay on alert in case he's still around. Faith announces she's going to the tack house to see the baby. Sharon asks her to be safe and stay close. Faith says she will. She opens the door and lets out a blood-curdling shriek. Sharon about jumps out of her skin. She rushes to the door as Faith gulps. Boardman. He's not breathing. I think he's dead. They look down at the inert feline on the welcome mat. Sharon ushers her daughter inside and orders her to call her dad while she calls Chance. Now. At the Abbott mansion, Summer says good morning to Kyle, who says everyone's gone from the house. Now maybe she'll finally come clean and tell him the truth. Summer protests that he already knows it. Kyle questions, do I know the whole truth, really? He wants to know how long she's known Phyllis is alive. Summer reminds him he was the one who told her. Kyle persists. When was the first time you saw Phyllis? Summer lies, yesterday. Kyle maintains she didn't seem overwhelmed. Summer says she had time to get used to seeing her. Kyle was right behind her and knows she didn't have enough time to get used it. You've known a lot longer, haven't you? He took the night to think back on their interactions and things that didn't make sense at the time. All the time she ran off she was going to see Phyllis. When were you going to tell me what you've been hiding? Winter Olympians see effects of climate change. There's chunks of ice breaking off. At Society, Victor's convinced Diane will send Jack's life to rack and ruin. Billy needles Adam about dropping the ball on the men's product line at Jabot. Jack says nothing is stopping them these days. Victor suggests he and Diane keep their hands off his wife's jewelry. Billy and Jack decide to leave on that note. At Sharon's place, Nick arrives right after Chance and asks what happened. Faith and Sharon tell them about the dead cat. Chance questions the cat's health. Sharon and Nick are convinced this is Cameron's doing. Nick says he could still be on the property and heads off to find him himself despite Chance's protests. At Society, Jack updates Billy that Ashley and Tucker made an announcement at the house last night. They're getting married as soon as possible. Billy and Jack agree they have to stop her. They can't let their sister marry that con man. Billy is sure he's behind the coup talk. Jack can't talk her out of it. She won't listen to me. Billy wonders, how does she not learn her lesson? Jack worries the wedding is imminent. Billy retorts, not if I have anything to say about it. Jack scoffs. Ashley keeps saying that her relationship with Tucker is just like my relationship with Diane. They have nothing in common. Billy points out they both have a scandalous past with bad behavior. Jack reminds Billy that Ashley caught Tucker red-handed with Jabot financial papers and alerted them. Billy decides that Ashley has something up her sleeve. This is too calculated. He guarantees it has to do with Jabot. At the GCAC, Audra and Tucker spar verbally as she says she's focused on the bigger prize now. Tucker thinks Nate is still under her skin, and it's killing her how close he's getting to Victoria. Upstairs, Nate and Victoria decide to search for the files under the sheets. She undresses him as she says they deserve time off to celebrate their hard work. Nate woos her by spouting performance numbers as they head to the bed. She pushes him down onto it and leans over him. At Society, Adam tells Victor he was right all along. He was never going to fit in at Jabot with all those Abbotts. He relays that he's in the process of making major moves at McCall and shaking things up around there. It needs to be streamlined, so they have to sell off the music department, which is weighing the company down. Victor says it's the cornerstone. Adam wants to focus on newer media and streaming. Victor says that would put him in direct competition with Newman Media. Adam nods exactly. At the Abbott house, Kyle asks to see Summer's phone. If he's wrong, he will apologize profusely. Summer hands it over. Kyle finds texts to a number that's not in her contacts about meetings. These were from Phyllis, weren't they? But it sounds like she hadn't seen Daniel. He deduces that Summer was the one she reached out to from the beginning, because you were the one she knew would lie for her. Summer sighs. Yeah, she knew that I would help her. That to protect her I would look in your eyes and lie to your face. She snatches back her phone as tears squeeze from her eyes. Kyle rages that Summer lied about something that directly affected all of their lives for months. How could you do that? Summer says it's over and she hated having to lie. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. She was desperate to keep her mom out of jail. Kyle asks why Daniel covered for her. He was protecting you. If you saw Phyllis first, that means you saw her when my mother was in jail. You could have cleared my mother's name and set her free. You could have gotten her out of that godforsaken place, but instead you decided to sit back and did nothing. At Sharon's place, Nick returns having not found Cameron. Security is still looking. Chance reminds them they don't even know how the cat died yet. Faith goes upstairs to call her friends to break the sad news. Sharon informs Chance that she feels in her gut that Cameron is behind this. This is another message to her from a madman. Chance asks, "What do they mean?" Sharon says they're warnings of what's to come. At Society, Victor tells Adam that he gave him a call to bring him back into the family, not to go against his sister. Adam argues it's good business. He has no stake in Newman Enterprises. Victor argues his priority should be his family. If he goes after Newman Media, it's a declaration of war, and he will not have it. Adam argues it was his to begin with, before Victoria snatched it away. He wants to bring it back to where it started. You see, it's about family. In bed, Victoria giggles that she gets turned on by mixing business and pleasure. It's satisfying on so many levels. Nate agrees. He wants to have his team update the Newman website to show off their real estate in development. Victoria likes it and will run it past her mother and Nick. Nate looks chagrined. Victoria realizes he's worried about her brother. Nate doesn't want him to think he's overstepping. Victoria will handle Nick. In the GTAC, Audra informs Tucker that the closer Nate and Victoria get, the better it is for her game plan. Tucker knows that behind the manipulation and schemes she has a big heart. Audra shrugs that even if she had lingering feelings for Nate, she can't do anything about them. Coming between them would ruin everything she's worked for. Tucker wants to offer her advice, but she doesn't put much credence to it these days. Tucker grins that it's worked out for him. He's ended up engaged to the woman of his dreams, and with a new opportunity staring him in the face. At the Abbott house, Summer tells Kyle she wouldn't have let Diane rot in jail. Kyle fumes that in the minds of the people of the town, his mother was tried and convicted. Summer says she's out now. Kyle hollers that she was upset with Daniel for coming forward and doing the right thing. My mother would still be on trial for murder if it wasn't for Daniel. He wonders how long Summer would have let it go on. You sacrificed my mother to protect yours. At Society, Jack tells Billy he confronted Ashley about her coup plot and put her on notice. Billy can't be dissuaded from his suspicion that Tucker's behind it. Jack feels it makes no sense that Ashley would make herself vulnerable or her stock vulnerable. Billy worries that Tucker has money to burn right now and is a shark. This puts him in striking distance of a board seat. Ashley could make a compelling argument for expanding the board. They always said it had to be a family member, which Tucker will be if she marries him. At the GTAC, Audra wonders how Tucker snagged Ashley and a golden opportunity all at once. Tucker says he kept his mind open and was willing to risk everything because it's all an illusion. Audra wonders if that was wisdom or nonsense. Tucker says she'll know when she can discern the difference between the two. Namaste, baby. He gets up and leaves and Audra notices Victor standing there. At the Abbott mansion, Kyle tells Summer she completely disregarded how her actions would affect their family. You weren't just sitting back and watching my mother suffer, you watched me suffer. He was worried about how this would affect their marriage, their Harrison. You kept pushing me away, for one reason, to hide your damn lies. At Sharon's place, she informs Chance that she's sure Cameron wants her to know that she's not safe even in her own home. He's coming for me. I can feel it. Chance says we need proof. Why hasn't he shown up on any of the security footage? Nick says he was probably disguised as a Newman security guard and explains about the guard that was drugged and tied up the night before. Chance wonders if there's anything else they haven't told him. Sharon warns Chance that Cameron is out for revenge, and that poor animal was just his latest victim. Chance gets a text and reports. The cat was definitely poisoned. At the GCAC bar, Audra complains to Victor that Tucker always intrudes where he's not wanted, playing his mind games. Victor wonders if they're still working together. Audra insists that's all behind her. Victor asks how she likes working with Nate. Audra talks up his business savvy. He knows the right moves to make. They both notice Nate and Victoria coming downstairs together and leaving. At Society, Billy tells Jack that he doesn't trust Tucker and he'll do whatever it takes to make sure he doesn't hurt their sister and protect Jabat. At the Abbott mansion, Summer pleads with Kyle to forgive her. She'll make it up to him if he'll just let her. Kyle doesn't think that's possible. The more he thinks about it, the worse it gets. He thought she was lost in inconsolable grief. It's diabolical. He thought she was suffering. Summer protests that she was suffering. It was terrible lying to him. Kyle can't take any more of this. Summer begs him not to reveal her mother's whereabouts. Kyle can't believe she's still putting Phyllis first and walks out on her. At Sharon's place, Chance tells Nick that there's no proof Cameron killed the cat. There are dozens of things out there it could have gotten into. Sharon protests. This has Cameron Kirsten's name all over it. Chance gets it and he's sorry, but this is the way he has to handle it. He's going to Newman Tower to find out what he can about the stolen uniform. He warns Sharon to lock the door and call him if she needs anything. After Chance is gone, Nick fumes in frustration. Sharon asks, "Why is he doing this to me?" She realizes the cat wasn't outside. I didn't let him out. Faith didn't let him out. He was here, he was inside the whole time. Nick levels, "You think he was inside your house?" Sharon says he had to have been. How else could he have poisoned the cat? Nick announces, "That's it. I've had it. I'm not waiting around anymore. I'm going to find Cameron and put an end to this for good." Sharon locks the door after Nick storms out and looks terrified.